In theory, it's live streaming, just waiting for it to catch up with the feed. My computer says it is live streaming.
Yeah. So does my lights, the things.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this full town council meeting on Monday, the 23rd of November. Usual caveat, we are recording and live streaming this to YouTube. Right, item number 1, apologies for absence, please.
And none received.
Okay, item 2, declarations of interest and requests for dispensations. Can't see anybody putting their hand up. Okay. Item 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 27th. We take back in 27th of October. Assuming all read those. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Hanlon, Councillor Davison, would you like to second then in that case?
Yep, however.
Okay, I propose and second all. Can I have a show of hands, please? Excellent. Everybody, thank you very much. Progress of actions arising from those minutes. I think Joe might have frozen.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't have to, right. That's right. Okay. 1160 2116 opening the Arts Centre. I guess there's nothing much.
No, the
Well, that's an old one.
it's best to have started.
So I've got page 111, page 112.
There was an action for Councillor Roach to email.
Lost it. Where are you? I know you're up to right. Is there anything, Councillor Roach, regarding whether Suffolk County Council of Education made any work towards the lunch vouchers for everybody? Oh, it's Paula.
Not that I know of at the moment.
Okay. Uh, 142, also on 112, Colin, about the MHLCJ, but I guess you send that off, haven't you?
It has been submitted and acknowledged.
And finally, on page, whatever that is, 114, about the sad demise of Angela Wendell. Have we done anything?
Yes, we wrote the letter and we've had a very nice response from Mr. Wendell.
Okay. All right, lovely. Assuming nothing else on that particular one, did we want to look at the response from Mayor Palmer at this stage, Colin?
If people want to, do you want me to put it on screen?
Yeah, I guess you all saw the response from Mayor Palmer to the CAM proposal, Metro proposal. That's one. It's not really a Metro, is it? I don't know if anyone had any comments on it at all. Other than I think we ought to take him up on his offer at some point when we can all do something to find out what is really going on. People agree to that? Get him to do another meeting like we had before, whether virtually or physically.
Yeah.
Is that all right, Colin?
Yeah, I'll invite him.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
John.
John.
Sorry, Tony. Yeah, sorry, Tony.
Yeah, just on that subject, it seems a little bit concerning that the mayor and the Greater Cambridgeshire Partnership don't seem to be talking. That this has been ongoing for 3-4 years, and it seems to me from his letter that they've only really started engaging with each other closely over the last few months, which seems a little bit of a concern. Yeah. Anyway, we can ask him on that, hopefully, when he comes along.
Yeah. It's patently obvious in the meetings I've been at from the GCP that there's no love lost, or was no love lost between them anyway. That's particularly over, not necessarily our bit, but a bit over Campbell. Now along the 428 there.
Chair, did you want to invite him to a meeting of the town council, or did you want me to get a area forum organised? I'm just thinking in terms of enough bait to get the chair of the Cambridge and Peterborough Authority. It might help if there's actually some representatives from Linton, etc.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. So I assumed it wasn't going to be a town council. I assumed we were going to do like we did before, where we had a forum meeting. Where was the one? Linton, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was a forum meeting.
Yeah. That's right. I'd go for that personally.
Okay.
So, okay. Okay, item 5, to receive the various reports which you had in one of the emails. Starting off with Colin's side of things.
Thank you, Chair. I won't bore everybody by simply reading it out. I'll take questions if anyone has any questions.
So I'm trying to find it coming up. Okay. Anything on Colin's side of things at all?
That's fine. It doesn't.
It's okay. No, that was fine. I couldn't see any hands raised. That's fine. Then down to arts and leisure. Any questions on that? I don't know whether I haven't actually seen the news, so I've been busy editing videos for Stanley Award. I assume the Prime Minister's announced all kinds of things, and are we going to be able to reopen on the 2nd or not?
He announced that he'll tell us on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So what tier we're in. If we are in tier 3, then both the Arts Centre and the Zone cannot open, but we're not expecting to be put into tier 3. Okay. Tier 1 or 2, they can both operate.
Yeah. Right. Okay, thank you for that. Anything on the arts and leisure side of things? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hanlon.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just on that, will they be able to open? Because it's only a week away, isn't it? Will they be able time to open both in that particular time, Colin? Thank you, Chair.
I think the 9th is the planned date for the Arts Centre, because you're quite right to say there isn't enough time to arrange what was arranged previous to the lockdown being announced for the Arts Centre anyway. But for the Zone, that may not necessarily open on the Wednesday, but it can open more or less straight away because they had a trial run just before the lockdown, so they already know that they can operate.
Just on that, Colin, when I was filming this afternoon, I was asked by one of the what do you call them? People work up there, not teachers, tech staff, I guess. What we were doing about letting local bands and everything use the auditorium for live streaming, which is something that Councillor Creaney and myself have mentioned several times.
I think it's an excellent idea. They need to make contact with the art and leisure manager to book space to be able to do it. There was one rider on this that if in terms of opening, etc., the emergency lighting is being maintained to at least the 1 hour minimum requirements, but there is an upgrade planned, which unfortunately is an upgrade which requires changing the 110 volt system to a 240 volt system. So at some point, when they get the green light, and Nick will have to give that green light when he has a space in the programme, you won't be surprised to hear that the swapping over of the 110 volt panel to 240 volts means the emergency lights will not work again until they are fully back up to 240 volt LEDs. So it's an all or nothing. They can't stop halfway through and open for the evening or anything like that. So as soon as they've got the workspace to be able to get on with that, they will do it.
I understand the plan is that our own staff will do the vast majority of the work with an electrician certifying it.
Correct.
And also the 110, 115 volt circuit, whatever it is, you can put 220, 240 volts down it quite safely, I understand.
You can.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the lights that are attached to it at the moment.
Oh yeah. No, they won't survive. 240 volt, no. That's great. Okay, anything else on arts and leisure? Okay. Next one is new skills. Karen's comprehensive report again. I've lost a picture of Paula. I didn't know she was there anyway.
Just re-entering the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you want to draw attention to number 7, where Karen and Dan again have been successful in achieving a successful grant application.
Yeah, we seem to be getting all kinds of little bits and pieces. It all adds up, which is really good.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Paula's
just connecting now, by the looks of it.
I've got no pictures. I don't know if she's wants to ask any questions. Okay, anything on Karen's report? It's nice to see at least you can still do things in these strange times. If not, we'll move on to the zone manager's report. Let me get chat up in case Paula. As we know, it did manage to open for 2 days. Any questions on that at all? Sorry, Councillor Hanlon again, sorry.
Yeah, to me, it looked quite successful. Was there sort of too many people wanting to book, Colin, do you know? Or because that, there was quite a few people that said they wanted to go, and it seemed like they all went, most of them went. Did they have to refuse people, do you know, on them 2 days? Thank you, Chair.
Because it's a booking system, people book, there's available number of spaces that people book. So there either just simply wouldn't be any spaces left, or people would be able to book. I'm not aware that anyone was turned away, and as far as I'm aware, there were a few spaces left. But it did make things a lot easier knowing how many people were coming, particularly from a staffing point of view, that we can adjust the number of staff that we need on duty when we know precisely how many people are coming.
Yeah, I think a couple of groups didn't turn up either, if I vaguely remember what Sandra was telling me.
Some of it was we were fairly lenient. I mean, we wouldn't in the normal run of things allow people to book a space and then not turn up and then get their money back. But we were learning as much as they were, so I think it caught us slightly by surprise that somebody had said, and where somebody comes to a different session and simply claimed that they had booked one session and then turned up to a different one, then obviously we let that sort of thing ride. But if there'd been no space, they wouldn't have been able to get in.
Yeah. Pleased to see, and again, more grant money coming in as well.
Yes, yeah, thank you to Joe and Elaine for some locality budget money there.
Yeah. That's great. Anything else on the zone and all that sort of things? Nothing. Get on to Sarah's side of things, marketing. Any questions over that side of things? We are progressing, or they are progressing the shop vinyl thing side of things.
Yes, we got 128 entries, I believe. So certainly that's not bad in terms of response from the public in a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah.
So she's now working with the designer to work out how to fit those all onto shop vinyls that can then go onto the shops.
Okay. No questions. Finally, the operations manager report from Gary. Any questions there? No. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Right, quickly moving on. 6 Alpha, Cambridge South East Transport Environmental Assessment. Impact assessment, rather, I'll rephrase it.
Yeah, I haven't drafted a response to this. It's whether any councillors had picked up anything that they felt needed mentioning. Obviously, the environmental impact assessment will be making the point that as it doesn't go beyond the A11, it does nothing, or in fact, it exacerbates the problem of traffic and fumes, etc. But obviously, everything else is not in Haverhill.
No, I personally think the stuff, the bullet points that you sent to James Palmer are pretty good anyway. And I think you rightly say, a lot of the Shelfords and the around there, trying to think of maybe the other places, a lot of them are up in arms about it. Coming across the basically ignoring the old railway line and just going straight across. I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to even look at it in terms of the. Sorry, Councillor Roach.
Yeah, I mean, there's not just this one, but they've also got 2 or 3 others out as well, haven't they? They've got an east sort of Newmarket Road and Histon Road as well. So, but they're all predicated on the idea that everybody's going to cycle and walk and then get on a bus, and that just seems the mindset, and not about where people are coming into Cambridge from. So it seems to stop at the border, and they just don't think much further than that. So it would be nice if they were having a proper dialogue with their neighbours.
Yeah, I mean, some of the meetings I've been to, one I went to not long ago was all about making sure from the park and ride there was a good cycle and pedestrian route into the town centre in Cambridge, and it went very well. I thought, that's the sort of thing you should be doing. But anyway, I said my piece at all their meetings, and I've already done my submission on this as well. Anybody else? Are you just happy for Colin to just basically take what we sent James Palmer and necessarily beef it up if you want to?
Yeah, I think it would be better to get Mayor Palmer to a meeting with us all and do a lot of face-to-face stuff and work on making sure that we hit him with loads of stuff there.
Yeah, but he's not chair of the GCP, of course.
No, but he actually controls the funding.
Well, not in this case. This is the one that's come straight from the government, part of the 500 million. This is why I think one of the reasons he's not overly happy about it either, because he's not controlling it. He controls the policy, the transport policy, certainly. But yeah, I think what you said, Colin, about the fact is they want to put park and ride the other side of the A11. It's not going to help anybody this side, the eastern side of the A11.
Well, I can submit. I think we're arranging the meeting with Mayor Palmer anyway. Yeah. So I'll submit a short response just say we've actually responded.
Yeah.
But obviously, as Councillor Roach says, we can probably actually get more done by talking directly than the chance of our response to a consultation having any great impact. But at least we said we did it.
Happy with that, everyone? No dissension, as it were. That's great. Thank you for that. Right, quite on to 6B for Bravo. Regarding, obviously, David Roach's little baby, as it were, I suppose. Provision of EV charging points and minimum space standards, but David sent out. I see Councillor David sent out the thing that unfortunately I never managed to get to the parish forum because I was filming that night. So first of all, Councillor McManus, first of all.
I know David has sent the PowerPoint presentation out to us all. I just wondered if it would be worth us having an extraordinary meeting for David to actually go through that. I know myself, I'm better off having a PowerPoint presentation than rather than reading it myself. If this is the case, I would be happy to propose that.
Okay, come back to you in a minute, Elaine. Councillor Marks.
Yeah, actually, I was going to make the same proposal. Because of my eye problem anyway, I struggle to read some of this, but certainly I find it much more valuable when somebody actually presents in front of us. They tend to draw out things that maybe we hadn't noticed and give us a chance to actually have a consolidated discussion about it. So I certainly would also welcome that. So I'd second Elaine's proposal if that was acceptable.
Okay. Obviously, this is all about the issue and options, which I think most of us have been on the working parties that we had various times over, well, when we could actually meet up. Must be best part of a year ago now.
Yeah.
Where things like minimum space standards and EV, although of course we all want it in the new plans, are not necessarily perhaps things that should be raised at this stage. I'm getting that feeling, but I've taken the point of the proposal. Sorry, Councillor Roach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to organise if Town Council want a separate meeting with officers just to go through the presentation and bits and bobs. I'm equally happy to take any comments that's within those EVs and space standards, although we're nowhere near that point yet, and we'll still be impacted by what the white paper says. So at this stage, there are no wrong submissions, there are no right ones. They're just all comments, and we'll sift and pull them all in. And certainly when we get further down into the process, we can look at how we can make policy to meet some of those aspirations. Some will have control over, some we won't. But later in the stage, I'll certainly be looking to review the current policies that we've got, whether they're fit for purpose and what new ones we want, and where we need to adopt things. So that will be coming forward later on. But at this stage, the first issues and options is really about where we want to see the growth and how we want to see it, and settlement hierarchies and that sort of thing.
Councillor Hanlon, are you happy for us to arrange some sort of extraordinary meeting? So we can dedicate time?
Yeah, I'd still like to sort of do this bit tonight, that we put in, personally, because I think it's very urgent. Just give everyone a feel, because, the Prime Minister said that he was going to cut the combustion engines at 2030 and the hybrids 2035. Now, I feel that that's made this, what I was going to present tonight, much more urgent, because when we think of local plan, you're talking about 4.5, 5 years. I think that what was David sort of showed on his part,
early 20.
when the actual decision is made. So
yeah, that's right, Pat. 2024 is when it will come in. So we have all of that time, by which time we'll know what the government's done with its white paper, because that will have a huge impact. So, and I read what you submitted, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. There's just some of it we won't be able to control. Some of it will be subject to government policy and all sorts of things. So, as I say, I'm happy to accept all contributions to it.
Yeah, because that's why I was thinking about the housing side of it. Obviously, because what you just said about, you know, what the government's coming out with, that may take longer. But I feel that this electric charges is much more urgent, and obviously I think the council has got to look for funding because of the urgency, because it's going to be absolutely enormous task what the local council is going to do.
It is, Pat, but part of the process is we can't do anything policy-wise until the new plan comes in. We just don't have the powers to do that. We can build it in coming forward. Government might change the guidance and recommendation within the MPFF when the new white paper comes out, which will have a big difference. And I would expect them to see a lot of the greener issues coming in. But in terms of what West Suffolk District Council can do, we can't do anything till we do our new policies.
Yeah, but hold on though, David. Don't forget that there's been some lamppost charges put in Bury.
Yeah,
so things are starting to happen. There's been fast charges in Newmarket and Bury. So they're getting finance for that. So this is the sort of thing that I'm thinking of. It's sort of separate to the policy. Them sort of things.
It's a separate process.
Yeah,
well, that's what I mean. That's why I think this particular part on charges should be discussed tonight. Really, I feel.
Well, I understand the lamppost charging side of things, and correct me if I'm wrong. I thought this was a trial by Suffolk County Council.
Yep.
To see whether or not it's a thing that the lampposts themselves can control. Because I was told recently by the Suffolk street lighting manager that they're going to have a big problem with this, because with all the more modern lights, which are only LEDs, don't have 7 or more kilowatts of charging capability.
Yeah, so it's not within our gift. We can ask, we can suggest, we can put things forward, but we have no direct control over it at the moment. That may change. Government policy.
That's what I'm thinking of. It may change because of this 2030 thing. It's a very new thing, that 2030. He's only just come out with it. I think that is going to be overriding. That's going to be a policy change, you know, overriding that sort of the planning side of it. I think that's going to be a separate thing. So just in case, it may not, but just in case, I feel that we should discuss it tonight. That part, just that part, not the size of the rooms, because obviously we can discuss that at later, you know, the next meeting.
We can, Pat. Equally, I'm happy enough to take that paper forward and put it into the mix as is.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so
I personally didn't have any problem with either, to be honest with you. I would actually go a bit further than that and say, you know, the government's announcement about things like, and Colin's mentioned this before, when we've had meetings with developers about, no, is it 2023, 25, no gas heating system for new houses?
Yeah, so there's all of that sort of stuff coming forward, air source heat pump,
solar panels,
EV, space standards, they're all in the mix. So, Pat, if it helps and it saves some time, I'm happy to take them forward as a paper into the mix.
Brilliant.
Rather than have this,
that'd be good.
Are we all happy that we could just ask Colin to submit your 2 papers as town council evidence, even if we add something to it before the closure of the thing in, I know we haven't got time, have we? Because it's middle of next month. Or do we want this? We do have this proposal and seconded for the extraordinary meeting, but I don't know. I think we ought to have something to discuss things like the Sheila plans for south of the bypass, if nothing else.
Of course,
2,500 houses south of the bypass. With no,
of course, we don't have that within the plan, Don, because it's in Essex, it's not in Suffolk.
No. I'm talking about the one that is in Suffolk. The one that was in Essex was withdrawn by Braintree.
Yeah. But even if they're in Sheila, they're all subject to planning. I mean, we can discuss
Well,
Well,
but what you're saying, quite rightly, David, is the fact that all of that, including the Sheila, are part of this issue and options. Can Haverhill sustain yet another 2,500 houses with no infrastructure?
I mean, the premise for what we've been talking about, and you'll have seen it in the press with Wickenbrook as well,
Yeah.
is the Sheila always generates a huge amount of concern.
Of course.
And all the Sheila is landowners putting forward plots of land.
Mhm.
What our task is in the local plan is, on top of the growth that we know we've got, we calculate for West Suffolk, we've got to find probably another 2,500 homes. And the question that this first bit is asking is, how do we want to do it? And those of you that have done the workshops will have known that one of the options was, do we put it all in a new town? Do we spread it on just onto the towns that we've got? So Haverhill and Bury have to take the brunt of it, or do we have a mix and spread some out into the villages as well? And that's been the biggest concern with some of the parish councils, because they've gone from an infill village to a category A, and it's created.
Yeah, but I think we as a town council should be commenting on what Haverhill is doing, and also perhaps the surrounding what's planned for the surrounding villages, although there is nothing in Withersfield, of course.
But if you want a separate session, and I'll bring some officers along, we can do that. I'm happy to arrange that.
Well, I think the extraordinary meeting that Councillor McManus and Mark's suggested, I think is, we have another, was it 3 weeks before the consultation closes? Is that something we could arrange, Colin? I know it's more work for you, but
we could certainly arrange it. It's the 22nd of December it closes, so we have plenty of time.
Oh, 22nd, sorry, no, I'm looking at the thing about the other one.
I mean, you will have seen, because I've sent you the slides, you'll have seen basically what we talk about in those sessions.
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking of those of us, particularly those of us who went on the workshops, is as a town council, we should be commenting on those 2,500 houses. We should be commenting on the lack of infrastructure, and also I think we should be probably commenting, which we did bring up at the workshops, the proposals for what's happening across the border in Cambridge. Although it's not our local plan, I think we ought to be commenting on it.
Yeah, so I'm quite happy to arrange it, if that's what, because when you have those discussions, you get more out of the questions and answers than you do necessarily from the slides that you've got. But happy to sort it out. If Colin can give me a date, then I'll arrange with the officers.
Well, I think it's more relevant for those councillors amongst us who didn't go to those workshops.
Yeah.
All right, Colin. Sorry, Councillor Hanlon, is that all right with you? So I'm looking, I see you like it.
Yeah. If you could, as David said, if he can take that forward for us, then both of them, just to emphasise on the housing side of it, we've got a natural room, and I think the people on planning know this, but we've got on the Persimmon one, the one they've just done, the plot 2, is it 2A or something? There's one particular affordable housing room there that's 10 square metres smaller than the minimum, and that's the thing, that obviously you can't do anything about it now because we haven't got it on policy, but that's just to emphasise that are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, can I just move this on? If we're going to arrange an extraordinary meeting, Pat.
I just want to emphasise this for Dave in case there's any sort of question. It's just that bit, that's all.
I don't think any of it. We all discuss, as you know, development control. This comes up virtually probably on every application in a big development.
Oh right.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's nothing new. No, blimey, no. That's
Right.
nothing everyone we look at.
As I say, Pat, I'm happy to take it forward as it is. It won't probably sit in this round of what the comments for the consultations, but it becomes proper as we move further down the process. But I'm happy to take it and move it forward and have it sitting there. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you.
So we'll arrange an extraordinary meeting sometime before the 22nd to go over the issue and options document. So we can, obviously there's nothing to stop individual councillors or even members of the public commenting on it. I'd like to see more members of the public commenting, but from the town, but I'm not certain that, I don't know whether David knows this, whether there's been much response from Haverhill.
I don't know particularly from Haverhill, but certainly we're up to around about 2,000 plus visits in the virtual exhibition, and there's hundreds of comments being left. So,
Okay.
yeah, we are doing it until the consultation closes. I don't think we're doing the work on where they've come from.
Okay. Great. Okay, Colin, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a motion to
I was going to.
for an extraordinary meeting, but it doesn't actually need to be an extraordinary meeting. It just be an
Just a
addition.
meeting, yeah. Let me just take a vote on that anyway while we're here. It's proposed by Councillor McManus, seconded by Councillor Marks. I've lost Councillor Marks. Oh, there you are. Can I have a show of hands then for that, please? Just make it official. Thank you all. Oh, Paula, I can see you now. Okay. Great.
I'm losing connection, John.
You need to pay your broadband bill.
Yeah, that's down to the husband.
I know. Can't trust them. Right. Okay, moving on to item 7 then. Reports from district county councillors, the police. Well, we haven't really got anything from the police this time, other than what I put in my report. Any comments on police side of things? Can't see anything.
John, did you want to mention about the creation of a mailbox?
Yeah, you and I were. Yeah, I've got to set it up because I think we agreed it was going to be a shared mailbox. Yeah, we're going to try and set up an email address for all of us to use. If you do get any complaints from anybody, things like antisocial behaviour or anything like that, which can help us in the longer term to when people ask us about things like public space protection orders, whether or not we need to expand them, reduce them, new areas, whatever. The idea is that if you do get a complaint from a resident, you know, even if you don't put the details down, if you know, you can actually drop an email to that address, and it will lie on file, if you like, such that you know, when PSPOs come around in another 2 or 3 years' time, that we'd be able to say, oh yeah, well, we had these reports from these areas, or whatever. So hopefully I'll get that set up soon, and we'll let people know what that is.
Can I just clarify that this is after you've dealt with the matter, just to kind of amplify what the Mayor said, that it's going to sit on file potentially for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It does not replace reporting things to the police, and it doesn't need enough detail for it to be able to be used as evidence for the PSPO, because whilst I certainly recall lots of discussions about things that were reported, of course, when push came to shove, we had nothing to actually show for the PSPO. So this is hopefully a method that we will just be able to look back through a single archive for something, but it doesn't replace reporting it as a councillor.
Councillor Lucarini?
Is this our own write-up or the actual correspondence between us and a resident?
It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. Obviously, do bear in mind GDPR. Sometimes it may be easy just to forward an email so that it then sits there. Other times it might be that you've had a telephone conversation or bumped into somebody in the street, and you can simply use an email to jot down a few notes of what it was, what happened, when it happened, and then ping it off to that email address. And then you know you've done your bit. Whenever we actually need the evidence, however long it might take, you know that it's at least sat in there for that purpose.
Is this only stuff from our town council emails then? How does it work with, say, our West Suffolk emails?
It's evidence, so you can send it from any email address you like to that mailbox. It's not something you're going to publicise, but yeah, it doesn't really matter which email you send it from. It would be something like reporting at or whatever it might be.
It just doesn't cause a GDPR problem then, or?
Well, it'll be stored safely. So no, it won't, because it'll only be stored and used for the purposes. People report these things in the hope that councils will do something about it. But the truth is, we have to store that information or we can do nothing about it. If you want to take the opportunity to say to somebody who's complaining to you or stopped you in the street, or whatever it might be as well, are you okay with me recording this matter on an email, and then it'll be lodged, so it'll be taken into account in due course? If they say yes to that, then happy days.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Or redact it as well, you know, if it comes to that. You know, even if it's just the general what's roughly happened, that's all that matters.
Yeah, don't redact it so much that it's useless.
No, but you know, it's fine. Okay, county councillors. Paula first. Let's go, Paula. Anything?
I've got a thing, you know, the bus stop up that I'm trying to get put in at the doctor's.
Yeah.
Because the Disability Forum asked for it. Well, it may not happen now, because they're taking so long over the designs, which they've done. And then we had to choose a design, which Dave Smith will tell you that we've done. And now they've got to cost it. And this costing must be taking about 6 months. Well, if it's not done by December, then that's it. Because of the elections, I will then lose the chance for the bus stop and the slope to be put in.
I think Councillor Brown's probably going to relate his story of Sainsbury's, but go on.
Yeah. Everything just takes forever. I mean, even the bus stops outside Lidl, they've just been complete. I didn't know if you knew that now, Colin. That
I drove past it, I saw.
Yeah, they're up. We're just waiting for signs to go on there and some sort of bus times. John, I think, is going to speak to Stagecoach around.
Done it.
Yeah. Is there any chance of sharing that? Any info that you've got on that, then, John, at some stage?
What, me?
Yeah, you said you spoke to Stagecoach.
No, I just told them that the bus stops were there, and could they look at adjusting their timetables and telling buses to stop there? But I've had no response from them.
Right. Okay.
Once they come back to me, I'll let you know.
Yeah, but
Request stop. So anyone standing there puts a hand out, they should stop.
Yeah, but there's no actual bus stop sign there yet.
The flag isn't up yet.
Yeah. But having said that, the one outside the Arts Centre car park lost its sign, and buses refused to stop there, saying it's no longer a bus stop because somebody's nicked the sign off it.
Would you be able to chase Suffolk County Council again, Colin, just to see what the state of play is? Yeah, it's all well and good us having paid for this bus stop. I presume we've paid for it anyway.
Yeah, different department, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, we haven't? Oh, right, okay.
No, it'd be a different department.
Yeah.
One puts the pole up and another one puts the flag up.
Yeah, because it'd be wholly embarrassing for us to have a brand new bus stop sitting there, no buses ever using it.
What I'll do, I'll ask if we can have a supply, because the handyman could replace any that go missing anyway. I think they'll probably stick on numbers, but apart from that, the rest of them are identical. I was just wondering for Councillor Fox, is it possible, perhaps check with Sue, I think it is, whether you can pay over your locality fund to the town council so that we can continue to chase the bus stop?
I could ask. Yeah, I could ask. That's a good idea. I'll ask them.
Okay.
Was there anything else, Paula?
No, that's it really.
Councillor Roach, anything? You're muted, David.
Okay, right. I've now found the button. As far as the adoption of Aragon and Parr roads, that saga still continues, and now the latest that Suffolk have told me is suddenly there's a land ownership issue that they've got to resolve. So whereas I thought this was going to be done and dusted, well, 2 years ago, we're still in a legal wrangle. So I'm still chasing that, but I think it should be resolved hopefully before before the end of the next millennium. It's ridiculous, so I'll just keep pushing them for that. Other than that, it's been reasonably quiet at county. They're doing various bits and pieces. You've seen all the things about their hardship fund that they've got. They've committed to planting loads of trees and the quiet lanes stuff. Then there's lots of work going on, obviously, at county with discussions about both Seneca as involvement with West Suffolk and also with Sizewell. So they're all going on in the background. But other than that, yeah, it's relatively quiet. We'll not press. We'll have more press next time because we've got full council next week after.
Councillor Brown.
Yeah, David or Paula, around the COVID updates, we used to get those quite regularly, figures and such like. They're very sparse at the moment.
Yeah, they're only coming out twice a week.
Twice a week, isn't it?
Yeah, one's popped up today. I just saw that tonight, so I've just forwarded it to Colin to send out. But yeah, they're only doing 2 a week, and whereas before they drop into our main inbox, they sometimes get buried in the back, sort of unfocused ones. So yeah, so they're quite difficult to pick up. But it's only twice a week.
Power and arrogance been going on for
20 years.
Well, because I think it's 30 actually years now. Yeah, probably getting on towards that. Yeah,
since they built it, since Blaw's built it. Yeah.
But we've still got the problem, as I keep going on about, is Tesco still owning the Kangle Junction. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Sorry, nothing else, David?
No. District Hack, obviously I'm spending an inordinate amount of time at the moment on local plan. I'm doing 2, 3, 4 parish meetings a week at the moment, going through the issues and options. So obviously I'm quite busy doing that. But other than that, no. I was pleased to do some reads. I laid one at East Town Park for county. I went up to our one in Haverhill after the main event because I did Keddington in the morning. So I think given the circumstances where we are, they were all really well done. So, so just my thanks to John and everyone and Town Council for what they did up at the War Memorial, because I think that was really good. I think it was well received, wasn't it, across the board?
Yeah. Early start. Oh wow, Councillor Carini, of course, as well.
I wasn't going to sort of build him up too much.
No, I know, I realise that. Right, other district councillors. Anybody? Can't see anybody. So you saw my report, usual stuff. I don't know if there's anyone got any comments, questions on it at all. Hopefully not. Okay, great. Any members of the public, Colin?
No members of the public have joined us on Zoom.
Lovely, thank you very much. Let's move on to item 8. Received the report from the Mayor, which was just mentioned by Councillor Roach about remembrance. Thank you for those who did come. Sorry, it was a bit brief and wasn't able to talk to people very much and all that sort of stuff. I must admit, when I said at the end, wait for the steward to sort of let you go, I didn't realise they were actually going to sort of basically tell people go, and I didn't get a chance to speak to anybody. Never mind. I think it went very well, and the weather stayed decent as well. Right, item 9. I received a report from says from One Haverhill. Any can't remember when we last met. Other than
Many meetings I'm aware of.
No, I've been to antisocial behaviour one, master plan meetings, but
yeah, master plan are at the moment they're every fortnight. So there's been quite a lot going on with those, mostly around the high street closures.
Yeah, Councillor Marks.
Yes, I spoke to Lois. I had a meeting with her last week because she didn't come to the last meeting and we didn't know she wasn't going to come. So we hadn't got a formal briefing, and then it made it difficult what we could say and what we couldn't say. So, but I think I know a lot of people think that Lois is involved in what we are nominally calling the Haverhill Hub, and we do have to be careful because that could comprise outreach services and things. But she's not, and I think it's quite important to note that she has made it quite clear that she's not involved in that. Her role is primary care. She looks after the surgeries, and she's absolutely working at 9 to 5. So I am currently in conversation with a number of the key players who are going to be the prime movers and shakers in that. And one of them seems now to be Gary, who is the project manager for the new West Suffolk Hospital. So I've got a meeting with him, and I have now been assigned to the task and finish group of the West Suffolk Hospital, which will help formulate that. And they're going to now tell me within the next few days how this, the concepts, the elements for the hub are going to be determined, who's determining, because my understanding was that we were going to get the report from Public Health England, that was going to form the basis of the needs assessment, which I've discussed with them, because I don't think it's appropriate, because the COVID Public Health England report doesn't really reflect our need, because it's obviously been COVID, it's got a COVID slant on it. So the whole thing's been a little bit skewed at the moment. So I'm trying very hard to bring it all back into focus. I'm contacting lots of people. And the other thing, things come out of the blue that we're not really being informed about. And Sarah Howard popped in to see me, and she's now been given the role of coordinator to bring together an alliance, which is West Suffolk, the education, health. She's kind of sitting in the centre of this group that's bringing together this alliance. Nobody's really talking to us about that. And I find that, and Colin, you probably know about this, but I found it quite alarming that Sarah dropped in here for a coffee, and suddenly I'm learning that she's now heading up or coordinator, because she's got no particular focus. So they wanted somebody independent, and she's bringing together all these alliances, which will be every sort of health, education, West Suffolk Council. There's a whole host of them. And I'm slightly worried because I'm not quite sure what they're doing. So I'm rather worried that there's lots of these alliance groups going on, and we just seem to be we're not being informed, I think. So I'm trying to get a handle on all of this. I'm talking to Gary Southgate this week. I'm now being assigned the task and finish group, so it's going to be very helpful in actually being able to get underneath that. And of course, I'm still on health scrutiny, but Lois made it quite clear. So I emailed Ed Garrett, and I said to Ed Garrett, could you please nominate somebody within clinical commissioning who will be responsible for the health aspect of looking at the determinants for our strategic health hub, however that's going to be positioned. And so I am having those discussions, but it's fragmented at the moment. I'm hoping Gary will put some more context into that, but please be patient. I won't let it go.
Well, I've never heard of this alliance. I don't think Colin has. I don't know who's appointed Sarah Howard, whatever. I suspect that West Suffolk don't know anything about it.
Well, they do, because Ian sits on it. So all of you see, and this was the other conversation that I had with Lois, is that the determinants for health should not be top down. The way you keep people out of hospital is bottom up. And so what's happening is they keep putting these alliances together and saying, people have got to work smarter and all this, But what happens is all these people making these decisions aren't people who actually deal with, they're not public facing for patients. And it gets stuck halfway down, because once it gets to the heads of social services and the heads of the community nursing, they're saying, well, we haven't got enough staff, that's outside of our remit, and we don't kind of want to do it. So, but that's not the right way to actually go about this. So we're having some quite stiff conversations, but Lois made it really clear in a meeting this week that she cannot head up, is not idea, because my understanding was that the next part of this process was that we would be putting together a business case to go before the Secretary of State to get signed off on the concept of our hub, whatever that looks like. And right now it seems to be held up. I think there are things happening. I just think we don't know who's doing it. So I'm hoping that by the end of the week I will have a better idea from Gary Southgate. So anyway.
I have to say, Margaret, I thought this was what we were doing at One Haverhill, but I may be...
Well, it's funny because I said to Lois, I thought One Haverhill were driving this, and that she, with health and wellbeing, was the kind of driver for the health element of it. And she said, absolutely not. So I'm totally blown away, because what I was very mindful of is not letting this go. And now I've contacted everybody who's anybody and told them I want an update, which includes Ed Garrett, Ian Gallen, West Suffolk Council. And I had 2 hours with Lois. I think at the moment she's overwhelmed. She's having meetings every day with every doctor's surgery, and I think that's just taking up all of her time. But please know that it hasn't gone away. It just seems, it feels, and it may well not be, it feels very disjointed at the moment. But certainly, Colin, I don't know. I mean, Sarah was trying to explain to me what this big alliance working that she's doing is, but I mean, if you feel like contacting her and saying, could she give you more, perhaps a paper on it or something, that we could understand better we understand that the determinants of health are not specifically your body. There might be the environment, there might be sport, and there might be education, but I just don't understand her remit right now.
And it's not just about health either. I'm astounded. Let me go to Councillor Brown anyway, rather you just moved to get bigger.
Yeah, thanks, Margaret, for the update. It's quite shocking, to be fair. None of the elected representatives of this town seem to know anything about it. What's the point of one Haverhill? I mean, health is one of the most important issues to the residents of the town, and it seems like it's all being done in dark rooms without any consultation, without any input from any of us, or I really appreciate you fighting our corner, but it just seems something's going drastically wrong. I don't know if we need to, contact or write to Ed Garrett to say, look, let's have some consultation, let's get some involvement with it.
Talk to Ed this week. So give me a chance to talk to Gary Southgate, the guy who's doing the West Suffolk Hospital programme, because apparently Ed has copied me to him and told him to contact me. So let's see what he tells us, and I will obviously share that with you. That's not, I'm not trying to be secretive. I'm just trying to, what I just want is a cascade of information. Who is doing what, and when is it going to happen? So I don't want some convoluted 40-page document from them, which is what they tend to deliver, and that's a great complaint of mine. I simply want, and there is also the clinical commissioning board meeting on Wednesday, and again, it's something that I'm hoping that I might do to bring up and say, I just feel there's lack of clarity in Haverhill about who is doing what. So I think also when we talked about properties, the building on Camps Road doesn't belong to clinical commissioning. It actually belongs to Public Health England's property department. So any thought of them building anything new on that site is actually NHS England's property, and clinical commissioning have no power over that. So again, these were things that you kind of learn that it seems to me to be overly complicated, Tony. So I'm hoping to get some structure out of it by the end of the week. I won't let go.
I can't understand I thought we've got one public estate and all this sort of stuff, because we're talking about a hub, not a health hub. We're talking about a hub. That's what we've been talking about for several years. And health is one part of it. I personally think, and I talked to Colin, said Colin about this, I think this has come out of the blue to us. I think John Mayhew should be writing to people like Ian Gallen saying, well, what's going on? How are you undermining what we've been trying to achieve over these last
years? Ian's secretary has responded today and said...
Yeah, but it's not for you to talk to Ian for that. It should be coming through one Haverhill, Margaret, I would suggest.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm sort of standing in for Lois, because Lois is the health and...
Yeah, I understand.
I sit on the hub bit. So I contacted Ian. I was interested in the health element, not the hub bit.
No, I understand. No, I understand. Yeah, I just think...
And so I've asked... So Ian is going to prod a few people like David... Osborne? No, not Osborne. Who do I mean?
Collinson.
No, David Osborne, sorry, who is supposed to be doing some background work on it. And so Ian is supposed to be prodding those people to say, where are you in all of this? Where is the bit you're supposed to be doing? But I think what we need, John, is we need to understand who is doing what and what are the timescales that they're expecting to be doing it under. Because the West Suffolk Hospital business case has to be before the Department of Health by the mid of December. Now, I don't know whether that's just outline planning, or I've asked to see a copy of that, but I don't know quite what are the determinants of that. It's all terribly scatty at the moment. And but I think rather than, if I could just beg your, patience till the end of the week, rather than us all go off cock and keep asking.
No, that's fine. No.
I will share with you anything that I get back, so that we can then determine what is the next question that we want to ask. But since I've already chucked a load of grenades in, let's just let that flow back and try and pull that together. So, and then we know where we need to ask our next set of questions. It'll just alienate people otherwise.
Right. If you can come back to us all, I think is the answer. Is, if you find out what this alliance is supposed to be all about,
Well, that bit that's the bit I am confused about. I mean, when Sarah was telling me, I was blown away. So I think that from that perspective, that overarching alliance, it would be really nice to know what Sarah is doing. And I tell you, she's working for Kate Vaughanton. So her boss is Kate Vaughanton, although she's working as an independent, but I still can't quite work out what her role and remit is. So I don't know, Colin, if you want to follow that one up.
Well, I think I'll let your grenades go off, because it sounds like you have, you say, you put quite a lot of irons in the fire now. But I absolutely agree with you. It sounds absolutely extraordinary that it's a completely different structure to the one that existed not long ago. But well done you for keeping at it.
I'll come back.
all right. Thank you. Thanks, John Martin. Anybody else? Haverhill? Can't see any hands up. Okay, let's move quickly on then. Item 10A, adoption of the planning committee meeting held on the 3rd of November. Guess you've all read it. Could I proposing, Pat? Yeah. And secondly, Councillor Davison. All those in favour, please show. All right, thank you very much. Leisure and Community Committee held on the 10th of November. And the proposer, Councillor David Smith, Councillor Joe Mason, seconding. No comments, I assume. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Energy and Sustainability Committee held on the 16th of November. Any proposers? Councillor Tony Brown, seconded Councillor Miller Jones. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Right, moving on to item 11. The item is taken under delegated powers. I think it's pretty straightforward.
You just need to note them if you're happy with.
Yeah. Any questions on those? Hopefully we'll be starting to see some of the old, disgusting street furniture we've got finally replaced with something that people could sit on. I know Councillor Lucarini and myself on Saturday had to bypass, it was 2 or 3 seats, because I thought we were just going to fall off them anyway. We tried to sit on them. Okay, and obviously the direct debits that we set up. Okay, moving on to item 12A, to authorise following payments of 60,543.82 pence. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Roach, seconder. Councillor McManus. All those in favour, please show. Okay, thank you for that. Budget briefing.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so I apologise if people haven't had a chance to see this. I can put it up on screen if that's useful.
Yeah, I think we'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Fine, Colin.
Give me a moment. Right, okay. Hopefully that'll appear on your screen in just a second. If some of you can nod.
Yes, I can see it.
Good, thank you. So it is literally the very first iteration, errors and omissions notwithstanding. Thank you to Councillor Burns and Councillor Davison for their assistance in coming up with a principle to follow, which is basically just, for want of any better idea, business as normal. That is the, if you like, the highest risk, because that's the most expensive option. Anything else tends to cost less. Obviously, we're talking about Bevan House a little bit later, but I'll consider that at the time. Just move everyone out of the way slightly. Right, there we go. So the key thing, of course, were two key things. One, heart seats. I'm working on the basis, obviously at some point there will be a discussion, but heart seats at the moment, it was set up because in 2004 councils weren't allowed to trade, but now they are, at least under the general power of competence, which we have. And it does mean that if we actually don't have heart seats, it will save us quite a lot of money just on the administration of that as a company, and also stop us constantly trying to work out clever ways to stop it going bankrupt. This is basically what belongs to heart seats is effectively used by the town council, and the town council pays heart seats, but the town council, does all the supplies, all the staffing, etc. itself, which is a lot more straightforward. The other thing is the tax base, and you can see from the graph that I've put up there the impact of the pandemic on the tax base. In the context of a year in which we've seen a large number of houses built in Haverhill, so you'd have expected the tax base to go in the opposite direction to what it has done. But in fact, there's before we even get started, there's £35,000 worth of funding disappeared just with that alone. So we've had to take that into account. So on inflation, I've assumed 2%, although I haven't actually applied that at the moment. To a certain extent, although we assume 2%, I think you'll all be aware that a lot of people have held their prices for a very long time. It's probably one of the reasons why the economy is so fragile at the moment, because people have been living off smaller and smaller margins. I did use 2.5% for wage inflation, but obviously over the weekend there was speculation that there might be a cap on public sector wages, and if that is announced, then we'll adjust that. Obviously, that helps the budget, if not a lot else. So the overall figures, and I have sent through an accompanying PDF, but you're going to need to zoom in quite a long way to be able to even read what's on there, so I'm not going to attempt that on this screen. The headlines are that we're looking at an increased expenditure. Bear in mind, this includes the full year of things like the volunteer centre and community kitchen, plus various uplifts as well. So obviously net income is also going up a little bit on that. But what you will see is quite a difference in terms of reserves. We had planned to spend from reserves anyway, because the youth services have been funded from reserves, but we're actually going to need 88,000 from earmark reserves, and we're looking at another 22,000 coming from our general reserves. Now, we in our reserves policy, we had a policy of trying to increase our general reserves to get them up to a more realistic level. And so they were going to go up by 22,000 this year. The truth is they're probably going to go up quite a lot more. We're expecting to be underspent this year. So what I'm hoping that we'll be able to do before we start thinking about investing the underspend in any new project, at the moment it looks like £110,000 of money that isn't spent this year is going to be needed to cushion the increases plus loss of income for the next financial year. And bear in mind, this does assume that we still agree a 2% precept increase. So if we want to not go up by 2%, then that's about another £20,000 we'll have to find. So that's where we're at the moment. It's still very much a working document, but it at least gives you some idea of the scale that we're in. We'll know more really in December when we have some more numbers coming out of what we haven't spent in this financial year so far, and what therefore we're very unlikely to spend, because the period January through to March 31st is relatively quiet for events, etc. So once Christmas is kind of boxed up and we know what we're going to spend for winter for events, then after that we'll know that some of the underspends are definite. Does anyone has any questions on that?
Councillor Hanlon?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the money, council tax money back from new properties, the reason, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why that's so low is because of obviously the COVID, more people claiming benefits and things like that. Am I correct, Colin, on that?
You are. So the number of people who are now claiming benefits has completely wiped out the increase in the number of houses and taken us back to 2 years ago.
Which is really bad news for the people of Haverhill, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, whilst we're talking about the precept in our budget, you're absolutely right to highlight the fact that this is a reflection of what's happening in real people's lives.
Awful. Thank you, Chair.
So, Councillor Jones, sorry, just see that slide.
On that note, I think that it would be better if we actually skipped an increase in the precept just for this sort of 1 year. I think I can't remember what meeting we discussed that at, but although I agree with the general rises staying the same, I feel that with things being so tough for people who are sort of just about making ends meet, I know over a whole year it's not a massive amount, but really for a lot of people every little bit does make a difference, and I just think maybe now would not be the time to be increasing. It might be not a bad idea to give people a little break.
It's in the majority of houses are band B. So band D is £1.43 extra a year. We're looking probably at around £1 a year extra, but I do appreciate at some point the straw breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, I guess there's the other argument, of course, is that those people who are potentially lost their jobs or whatever are not paying council tax anyway. There is that argument. You take it both ways, but I fully understand the concept. But as Colin said, sorry, Councillor Crooks.
Yeah, just to back up what Laura just said, with an underspend of £110,000, why would you need to increase? Why would you need a 2% increase? Thank you, Chair.
Primarily, if I paraphrase what Colin said, was that 110,000 is actually more than that. It's an underspend of 147,000, 110,000, which is has to basically top up what the if we suddenly say let's just spend that money or don't do anything with it, we've got to find that money from somewhere else to balance the books for next year. 110,000.
I would stress it's the first draft. If the Chancellor does cap public sector pay, then it'll greatly reduce the need for any increase in any case. But basically, the tax base has gone in one direction and costs have gone in the other direction, and the money is simply the gap between the two. It's only mathematics. The whole point for councillors is you make the policy, so you can decide. We have general reserves, we have earmark reserves, we can run them down, but as Councillor Jones kind of inferred, you need to be careful. Suffolk County Council will happily give you a verse and rhyme on what happens if you have a sustained period of time when you don't increase the precept. You are digging a hole, but you can dig a shallow hole. You just be careful, don't dig a deep one.
Any other comments on this initial draft of the budget? So just a quick question, Carl. I know you and I discussed this. Did we get anything back from Rialtas about whether their system can do what you want it to do in terms of calculating wages by the hour and things like that?
Yes, we did. No, they can't.
Okay. But maybe it might be easier for us to do that and just feed into that accounting system rather than having to reinvent the wheel. That sort of thing, like wage costs and anything else that requires a calculation.
Yeah, all you can do with their budget system is simply work out the numbers on a piece of paper and then tap it in.
Yeah. Okay, might be quicker than perhaps. So, Councillor Marks, I just saw.
It's probably my ignorance that I don't understand this. So our loss on the council tax is because obviously the district is pulling in less because of they're getting less, and so therefore they're distributing to us less. But they're getting some grant from the government for the work they've done. Are we getting any percentage from the district for the work that we've done, or am I being naive here?
I didn't know you had a spare grenade. Yes.
Well, I haven't just chucked it in.
Yes. Well, if you want to mention to Mr. Gallin when you next speak to him what happened to the local council tax support grant, that remains within the money government gives to district councils, which the government fondly assumed would be passed over to compensate parish councils. The graph that I showed earlier showed a very sudden decrease in funding from the tax take. That was entirely compensated by the local council tax support grant. I would suggest you probably use a megaphone or telephone and say it from a very, very long way away if you ask Ian what happened to the funding for that.
Can we not
130,000.
Sorry?
It's 130,000 we lost
at
that time.
And did we ask the question? Because
Yes, very much so. There was petitions, campaigns, and I've even got video on YouTube about it.
Yeah, I proposed a motion at the district council at the time to try and get it back.
Oh, really?
Which we roundly lost.
Yeah.
To be fair, most district councils did exactly the same thing up and down the country. And we bear in mind that they needed the money as well. It was in fact the government didn't give enough.
Yeah, and it wasn't just us; it was all the other parish councils. Also, everyone lost out. Just we happened to have the biggest chunk, maybe. Councillor David Smith, I think I just saw your hand rush up.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, that we were talking about the petition. We did actually present the petition to St Edmund's at the time. The mayor at the time, Roger Andre, spoke about it. Obviously, fell on deaf ears, but there we go. That's the nature of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, one of my first efforts at filming, I vaguely remember. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the budget side of things? No, I can't see anything else. Great. Thank you for that, Colin. Investment reviews. 12 Charlie.
Yes, so I was really going to try and get a paper on this, but perhaps not necessary to make a decision until I can get some information to finance. But the 32-day account we have with Lloyds has dropped their interest rate from 0.1% to 0.01%. If we moved to the Cambridge and Counties 2-year bond, which is a fixed term, but Martin did some work for me, and the money we have in Lloyds at the moment, the bottom 400,000 out of this, it swings between 600, 700, 800,000 and just over the million, depending when we get the precept in. But we've done a little chart going back, and we've never had less than 400,000 in it, even when we had less money in to begin with. So we have funds which we could invest better for 2 years, and Cambridge and Counties, I think its funding is something around about 1% or something like that, which again, it may not be much of a figure, but it's 100 times bigger than Lloyds are giving, and it would completely backfill the loss in interest payments that we would get. To begin with, when we had that money invested, we were getting the equivalent of another 100 or so houses paying council tax as a result of getting some decent bank interest, but it's just absolutely vanished. And all of the Lloyds long-term accounts also only pay the same amount. So what we're just looking at is the principle of moving to banks, and Cambridge and Counties do a business saving account, which is a 2-year bond. It's 85,000 because it's protected by the Financial Services Authority, so that we can't lose our money if they go belly up at all. And obviously they're actually in Lincolnshire, so I don't know which counties it is. I assume Cambridge and Counties would be in Cambridgeshire, but it's not actually. Yeah, so we're looking at that to see whether we can backfill. You know, if councillors are happy for us to pursue that, clearly you'll have to actually have a vote to approve signing of any forms, etc.
I didn't know that the 85 covered businesses.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's only personal. Okay. I don't know what people think. Did you want to do something now to maybe just? Have you finished the analysis of this?
Yeah. So it's basically, I mean, if people want to say in principle, but you'll have to you need to pass a resolution at the next meeting that it can be signed, because they will require it. So I can bring forward all the actual pertinent information now, but unfortunately I ran out of time.
No, it's fine. Everyone happy with that? I think we also try and maximise as much as we can, from money we got sitting in Lloyds or wherever.
Well, we owe it to the taxpayer to make sure.
Of course we do, yeah. I can't see any dissent at all, so please do, Colin.
Okay.
And then the external audit document you sent out.
Yes, so it's just to note that it's a clean bill of health. They didn't find anything at all to. It's always, for the money they pay, they could write a little bit more, but there you go.
I know. I did think they might be, well done, have an attaboy or something like that, Yeah, I know, but that's pretty typical for auditors.
So we just need to resolve to note that we've received that.
Yeah. Are we all happy that we noted the auditor's report basically said, well done?
Which ones are we taking? That's a thumbs up from Liz.
Sorry, I was trying to work out. Right, sorry. So it was Councillor Liz Smith, and I think Councillor Miller Jackson. I thought I also saw.
No, that was just a thumbs up, as in, I agree.
No, we need to. Are you proposing?
I will propose, yes.
That's fine. And Laura, are you proposing? Yeah.
Second.
Let's do it formally. All those in favour, please show. Send an attaboy to Colin and Martin.
I'll pass it on.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for that. Right, item 13. Any urgent correspondence? Nothing. Date of next meeting, 14th of December. So I just had a horrible feeling I've got another meeting that day. Can't remember. Okay. That's in my diary anyway. Monday the 14th of December, usual time, 7 o'clock. Somebody bring the virtual, mince pies and things like that. Right, item 15. Can I propose to exclude the press and public, please? Councillor Roach and Councillor Davidson seconding, I guess.